Hello everyone and welcome to an impromptu Q&A stream. In a shocking twist, I ended up just finishing Fable Anniversary really early. Like, I didn't realize how little there was left in the game. No one really told me. I thought that we had multiple streams left. We beat it in an hour. And if you want a summary of what I think about the game, I don't think Fable Anniversary is very good. I feel like it's kind of the initial game that maybe got action-based RPG started, but I beat it, I'm like, that's it? Like, I was so bored, I was like, I really don't even want to do the DLC. I'm just kind of like, I'm disinterested in the game. I couldn't believe that was the end. It was such a deflating, anticlimactic ending. I was like, so anyway, Q&A time. Everyone, if you'd like to ask me a question, please tag me in the chat. And we got about half an hour or so of Q&A. I should have played Knights of the Old Republic 2, says Ryan Wilson. Hey, remember, that was viewer's choice. That was not my choice. That was viewer's choice. That's what people nominated and voted for. You know, when we do viewer's choice, I play whatever you guys want. So that's why we played it again. You know, keep in mind, I had played that when it was new in 2014. That's what people wanted. Have I ever had French cuisine? Not official, like, full-on French cuisine. Once I went to a French restaurant, and it was weird, because I got a pizza, and it was nothing like pizza. It was like a flat bread with a white cheese sauce and weird toppings, and I ate it. I was like, this is not very good. And that was about it. And then that French restaurant went out of business. So no, I don't think I've ever really had full-on French cuisine outside of that. I don't even know what full-on French cuisine would be. No, I haven't had much experience with it, so I can't really comment on it. Okay. Oh, people are wondering what happens with the poll, because I currently have a poll going on what is going to happen tomorrow. So, basically, the poll is kind of screwed up now, but the way I see it is there's basically voting for people who wanted Final Fantasy, and there's people who wanted, Batman. It's just Final Fantasy versus Batman is the poll. So I'll total up the two poll options that have Final Fantasy and the two poll options that had Batman, and whatever wins out of more votes for Final Fantasy or more votes for Batman will be the first stream tomorrow. No matter what, tomorrow night we're doing multiverses. So there you go. Did I ever play skateboard games like Tony Hawk? Not when they were new. No, I actually played the Tony Hawk collection. What was it, 2 years ago? What was it? Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 collection. And I loved it. I thought it was really good. I mean, at first it was very hard to learn, but once I learned the game mechanics, I went back and I beat every stage in the game, including the super hidden secret stages that you needed to, basically maximize every stage to unlock. And I loved it. I'm actually sad because they were making, supposedly the rumor is they were making a Tony Hawk Skater 3 and 4 collection, and then the studio was repurposed to work on Call of Duty content, and the whole project was canceled. So, that sucks. I would have loved the collection of the later games, but I thought 1 and 2 were great. Thoughts on the Mass Effect trilogy? I think that the Mass Effect trilogy started off as an outstanding, revolutionary game series. Unheard of to have a game series that basically was kind of like a interactive sci-fi adventure. Like, when I first started playing Mass Effect 1, I was like, wow, it's like Star Trek combined with like an action drama series. I loved it. I never had played a game where you had those kind of narrative-based choices. Keep in mind, I had never played Knights of the Old Republic or anything before. That was really my first experience in a game, having big narrative choices and branching dialogue paths, but also having this cool sci-fi epic story, gunplay, RPG elements, and I liked RPGs, so it was a unique thing. I think what happened, sadly, was it was a victim of its own success. So many people wanted to play Mass Effect that the game developers decided that they wanted to keep dumbing it down, and that's what they did. Part 2 was a little bit less RPG-esque and more action-based. Part 3 was literally just action with almost no RPG elements whatsoever. And by the end of the trilogy, it basically ruined itself. I'm excited to make another one. I just hope that it goes back to its roots. I would much rather play Mass Effect that plays like 1 than 3. And as long as it's polished and it's not like Andromeda, I think it'll be successful. But I really feel like they need to go back to its roots. That's my feeling. Did Jasper go crazy today? Jasper's all right today. He didn't go nuts today, no. Michael Kane said, what's a retro game I think more people should know about that isn't playable on modern consoles? I guess what you're talking about, you have to go back to my roots of like what I consider retro games. What I consider retro games is like NES, Super NES, Genesis era. Most of those games are playable. I can't even think like of all the games right now from that era, the one that I can't play is Chrono Trigger because for some reason it's not available on any console right now. The only way you can play Chrono Trigger is PC or handheld. You can't play it on a console. Outside of that, most of the older games that were formative games for my youth, you can end up actually playing in one way, shape, or form. So I don't really think I have a good answer for that one. Slayers, what are my updated thoughts on K-pop? I don't necessarily have updated thoughts on K-pop. You know, it's kind of an addendum to my original thoughts where it looks like it's like American pop music, but the music seems to be, at least in some cases, a little bit more meaningful with more actual themes that are more adult and or mature, as opposed to love or teen angst and shit like that, which I like. I'm happy it's not all about that. And I think that the music videos are pretty artistic. But outside of that, I don't really have much else to say about it. I don't think I have a lot of exposure to it. So, Bojangles did a super chat. Says, can you shout out 672? No, I refuse. And your boy Lem tipped me $4.20. Says, hey, Phil, hope you're having a good night. Thank you, your boy Lem. I guess I'm having a good night. At least I get to chill with you guys for half an hour rather than sit here and play more super boring Fable. I was literally couldn't stop yawning playing it. Tonight I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop yawning. I was falling asleep. Okay. No problem, Slayer. Mark says, do you think people like me who did not play a PS3 game until 2012 have a better impression of the console than early adopters and were PS3 games really bad in 2007? The first 2 years of PS3 were pretty bad because the architecture of the PS3 is very different from any other console or PC to develop for. They made this whole unique layout of hardware that all game developers were literally saying, man, we want to design games for it, but it runs like shit. You know, you had Madden come out, and it would be both on PS3 and Xbox 360, and the 360 would be 720p, smooth 30 frames. I know that doesn't sound good by today's standards, but back then it was. And on PS3, it would be like a hybrid resolution, not even, it's struggling to hit 720p, and like 20 frames chugging along with lots of frame droppage. And everyone was like, I don't understand why. It was because the processor, or whatever it was, the whole hardware layout just was not easy to develop for. After a few years, all of a sudden, developers figured it out. And that's when you started getting good game after good game. And, of course, by the end of the life cycle of the PS3, when you had games like The Last of Us and shit that were, like, photorealistic, that's really when it hit its stride. You know what I mean? So, I think that's an example of, like, the developers got so up in their own heads about how good their consoles were. You know, remember that PS2 had been the dominant force in gaming consoles for a very long time, outselling all of its competition in droves. I think Sony almost felt like they could do no harm. Like, we could do whatever we want with this new one. People will just buy it because we're the market leaders. And then what happened is they shot themselves in the foot. They had a really slow start and ended up having to play catch up with the Xbox 360 for most of that console gen. They did eventually catch up near the very tail end. Okay, Haseo says, will the next big game be Splatoon 3? Are you going to check out Saints Row? All I can do briefly, because you're the second person to ask this tonight. All I can do is go through the schedule, all right? In August, we got 2 Point Campus on August 9th, Saints Row August 23rd, Midnight Fight Express August 23rd, Pac-Man World Repack on August 26th, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection on August 30th, and Destroy All Humans 2 Remake on August 30th. That's August. Now, I haven't gone back and re-looked at the schedule to see if anything's updated, but that's what's on my radar for now. September, we got Splatoon 3, September 9th, Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, September 13th, and that's about it. There might be more as of now, but I haven't gone back and updated the calendar. That's all I had. October's the crazy month. October's got Midnight Suns, A Plague Tale Requiem, Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Scorn, Gotham Knights, the Resident Evil 8 expansion, DLC, and multiplayer modes, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Bayonetta 3, and I didn't even write them all down. There's more. There's more than that. So that's insane. And by the way, I know for a fact that the Last of Us 1 remake is in there. Someone asked me the other day would I play it, and as I explained, the only way I'll play it is if someone gifts it to me. I absolutely refuse to give Sony and Naughty Dog $70 for that game. It's the same fucking game you played 9 years ago and then replayed again if you bought the remastered version. There's absolutely no reason to pay $70 for a game that is not new. That is ridiculously overpriced, and I refuse to do it. Okay. Will I play Tekken 2 again? Asked Jade. Maybe I would. I mean, I only played through it with one character, right? Who'd I use? Paul? I would consider playing it again if people want it. I have to look up the moves list this time, though. But that's if people want it. I don't know. Slayer says, did I ever play any top-down sim management games that's about business management? I never did, no. He says, Two Point Campus will have that style, similar to Two Point Hospital. I never played... some sim games I played The Sims at one point, and I used to play RTS games like micromanagement of a town, like, for example, Age of Empires, but I never did a business sim like that. I think I did play Zoo Tycoon, because it was a game that came as a launch title with Xbox One, and then I also played Jurassic World... whatever the Jurassic World, like, management game was about running your own, like, island theme park. I did that one. But that was it. I never played anything besides those. Okay. I don't have any thoughts on the new HBO show House of Dragon. I don't even know what that is. Michael Kane says, why does Nintendo get a free pass for people charging full price for re-releasing Zelda games like Skyward Sword or Wind Waker? Well, if you take a look at Skyward Sword, all right, let's be honest here, and let's make an equal and honest comparison. Excuse me. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is a game that came out on the Wii, all right? When it came out, it was a big seller, but most people criticized the game for good reason, saying the graphics weren't that great, and basically the controls had big shortcomings. People didn't really like the motion controls of it. I agree. That was one of my major criticisms at the time. Funny part was, I was honest about it, and other people just like to kiss Nintendo's butt constantly. So I was, like, hated on for saying that I didn't like the motion controls. I mean, fuck. Miyamoto couldn't use the motion controls on stage at E3. He couldn't roll the bombs, and he blew himself up multiple times. But the maker of the game can't use them, but I'm supposed to, right? Anyway, when you take a look at Skyward Sword Wii versus Skyward Sword Switch, there's a few key improvements. Number one, the graphics definitely are better. Number two, they've eliminated all the motion controls to make it a more traditional Zelda game and a more playable game, okay? There's also some quality of life improvements. I remember, for example, I forgot what it was because it's a year ago, but something to do with the when you're on the world map flying around on the bird. There's something to do with it's easier to do it or something. Rather, it used to be more tedious, and now it's not as tedious as it used to be or something like that. So basically, they made it more of a modernized game. Is it anything new? Is there any new content in it? No. But I think by selling it 2 consoles later like they're doing, they're essentially saying, here's a game for a new audience. If you didn't play the original Skyward Sword, here's an opportunity to do so, and we're taking out all those complaints you guys had about the original game, right? Okay. Are they charging the same price? They are. They charge $60. Just like the original Skyward Sword, they're charging the same amount of money. All right? Some people might argue that's bullshit, right? Why are you charging the same amount of money? It's the same game. I can see that argument, or I'm not going to argue with that at all. In the case of The Last of Us, all right, Last of Us 1, this is a game that it was released as one of the final major new releases, all right, on the life cycle of the PS3. It was kind of like almost like a love letter send-off to the console, right? It looked seriously fucking good. In fact, if you buy the remake on PS4, man, or I say remake, I think they call it remaster, right? The remaster is kind of a joke. The only thing improved is the frame rate. There's more frames of animation playing it on PS4. Outside of that, it looks identical to the PS3 version. Very few exceptions there. So if you want to complain about a ripoff, I mean, I think what it is a lot of people missed Last of Us 1 on PS3 and said, well, I want to play it on PS4 then. Let me get the better version, right? Very few people did what I did and rebought it right away, okay? Most people who had bought it or played it didn't rebuy it again. So now you talk about, okay, Last of Us 1 again on PS5, all right? You already had a remake. That's a modernized version of the game that's available right now for a disc. It's not $60 to buy Last of Us 1 on PS4. And that version runs on PS5. And it runs beautifully on PS5 at 60 frames per second. It looks fine. Okay? What it is they're trying to find another reason to sell it again. It's not like, oh, this game needed essential quality of life updates like Skyward Sword. Get rid of the motion controls. Give quality of life improvements. Make it look visually better on the modern console. Make it accessible to a new audience. Right? The only people who's going to get added accessibility to the game on PS5 is going to be people who have a disability, people who need, for example, full audio description, and need maybe the sonar that was implemented in Last of Us 2. If that's the case, and they need accessibility options, you're getting them in this version of the game. Outside of that, it's literally the same exact gameplay mechanics, the same story, the same everything with slightly better graphics. It's not even a major difference. You see what I'm saying? Like, if there was no version of The Last of Us 1 that came out on PS4 that is easily buyable and playable on PS5 right now at 60 frames per second, then I don't think there'd be any issue here. Because you're doing a double generation jump. But now the case is that's not the case. There already is a version in between, and that's why people have issue. There's a little difference there. If Skyward Sword had been released for the Wii, then the Wii U, then the Switch, then you could argue it's an apples-to-apples comparison. It's not really. It's not an apples-to-apples comparison because there's not 3 versions of the game. You see? Okay. How long did it take me to grow out this goatee? I don't remember. I don't remember because I've had it for over 10 years. I don't actually remember how long I grew it out. So I can't answer that. It's been too long. Jay, do you have a good night? I'll see you tomorrow. Do I like Chips Ahoy or Oreo cookies better? Chips Ahoy. Did I play the music game DJ Max? No, I never played any of those DJ games. I saw them in arcades. They used to have them. And even people have bought the home DJ sets and shit to play them at home. I never dabbled in any of that stuff, no. Would I consider playing Digimon Survive? I've never played a Digimon game before, nor do I understand Digimon. So I guess the answer there would be no. I don't know anything about it. Would I eat lab-grown meat? If it's safe, yes. If it's proven to be safe, I don't see the problem. Hello, Jordan. How are you? Will Street Fighter 6 be the best-selling Street Fighter game? I have no idea, Mark. I think, as of now, Street Fighter 4 still is. But I don't know, man. You can't make those kind of predictions. Oh, yeah? Slayer says DJ Max was actually added to Game Pass recently. I did not know that, yeah. Like I said, I was never really interested in the DJ aspect. So, like, I played a game called Guitar Freaks in arcades where you play a guitar and you do, like, musical riffs to actual, like, songs. And, of course, I owned a Guitar Hero and Rock Band. But outside of that, I was never interested in the whole DJ music side of things, no. Am I a milk guy? I have no idea what that means. Residents, I don't really have a take on card collectibles. He says, there's a big crash in Pokemon cards over the last month. What's my take on card collectibles? I was never really involved in it. I did collect cards as a kid, but at first it was baseball cards and basketball cards. Then it moved on to, say, pop culture style cards, like movie cards. Like I remember seeing the Batman movie and collecting the Batman cards, and I had to like try to get the whole set of those and stuff like that. And then I moved into comic book cards. So I had the X-Men series 1 and 2. I had Marvel Masterpieces series 1 and 2. I had a lot of the variant chase cards and stuff from those. And I liked them. But the reason I really liked them was because I was in the comic books. It was a way to get like a biography of a character with a really nice picture and everything on it. It was more collecting for me than say, oh, collecting and one day I'm in the hopes I'll sell this for a profit or anything like that. I never really cared. I had comic books. I didn't care about selling them for a profit or anything like that. I just didn't. It was never really a concern of mine. So I never really been involved in that market. I never played Dungeons and Dragons. I never played Pokemon cards. I never played Magic. I never did any of that. So I was never involved in any of that, and I don't know anything about it. Would I ever return to Hotline Miami 2 if people wanted to see it? I'm going to give you guys the same answer I give everyone, all right? If there's enough demand to see me play a certain game, I will usually play it. There's no reason to even bring up a specific game and say, hey, will you play this? Hey, will you play this? It's more of, hey, can we get demand for that game? You know what I mean? If enough people ask me for it during like a viewer's choice event or whatever, I would be down to play whatever. But the thing is, whenever I do a Q&A, I get people, will you play this game? Will you play this game? If there's demand for it, no, I'm not going to just reach into a magical hat and pull that game's name out and say, oh, it's time to play it. But if there's enough people who kind of rally and ask me to play a game, then I would, you see? But the funny part is a lot of people rally behind these games. Like, for example, Hollow Knight. So many people, are you going to play Hollow Knight eventually? if people want it, and then we do viewer's choice, and it doesn't even have enough nominations to make it to the poll, and it's like, you see? Did I have any favorite athletes growing up? Howard Johnson and Darryl Strawberry from the Mets, and that was it, because that was the major sports I followed as a kid was baseball, and the Mets were my favorite sports team. Oh, that's cool, Mark. He says he had the whole set of Batman Returns cards. I think I had the original Batman movie cards. I don't think it was Batman Returns. I think I had the original Batman, if I remember correctly. Do I like Diablo? I played the original Diablo and Diablo 2 on PC. I got hooked on them and loved them. And then I played Diablo 3 and I was bored to tears. So I don't know if it's just a thing that over time, you know, you fall in and out of love of a certain type of game. Maybe it's because when I was playing Diablo 1 and 2, I was looking for something to do that was kind of a fun, addicting thing that could kill time. Well, when I played Diablo 3, I was playing it for an audience on YouTube, and it was a different gaming experience. I don't know. I don't know if I would like a future Diablo game either. Do I prefer beef or mutton? I've never had mutton, Slayer, so I can't answer that. Beef, I used to like a lot when I was younger. I don't like it as much anymore. I actually prefer other proteins over beef a lot of times. Although, I think beef is still good with certain things. But I've never had mutton, so I don't know the difference. They are. Killer 2700 said the Mets are actually killing it this year. Will you watch them if they make it to the World Series? No, I don't follow sports anymore. I really don't care. Do I think the way we play video games will be similar in 50 years? Who knows? Who knows? I do feel as internet infrastructure gets better, things are all going to be online. Like right now, we all still have game consoles. Why? Because we can't just stream every game because the internet's not there yet. One day, the internet may be good enough that we can stream every game over the internet and we don't need to have consoles in our homes anymore. You know? Will anything ever be full? Maybe there'll be a day we don't need a controller because you just go like this and you move your hands, and moving of your hands will do the same thing because of visual recognition of your hand movements. Right? I don't know. It's possibilities. We're just not there yet. Yes, I did play Quake 3 Arena. I absolutely played Quake 3 Arena when it was new in the 1990s. It was either 1990s or early 2000s because I get the dates confused. But I used to play Quake 3 Arena. I used to play Unreal Tournament and Unreal Tournament 2. I used to play Counter-Strike. Yes, for a bit. I had a friend who was very heavily into Counter-Strike, and I played that for a while. So I was into competitive first-person shooters for a while. Cult of the Lamb comes out August 11th. It's an action roguelike like Hades. Is it? I guess we'll have to see if it's any good. If people review it well, maybe I'll check it out. I liked Hades a lot. I mean, I loved it. But I don't want to kind of jump right into another one without knowing it's good. Yes, Kat and I are still together. We're married, and we're doing very well. Thanks for asking. Yes, we're good. Okay, weird question. Yes, I've seen Kung Fu Panda. I found it entertaining. Would I ever consider becoming a speedrunner? Probably not. Would I ever do like a special event speedrun as a special thing? Maybe. But I doubt I would become any kind of a full-time professional speedrunner. That sounds pretty ridiculous, especially for someone of my age. Zootopia? I saw Zootopia, and I liked that too. Yes, I thought it was a good movie. Pretty unique plotline. I didn't think they were going where they were going with that plotline at all. And now the chat has frozen during a Q&A stream. Figure that one out. How did the chat freeze during a Q&A stream? You would think of any night that there would be a stream, people would be asking a ridiculous amount of questions. The chat froze. Wow. Thank you, Sayx. He says, I've actually been away for a long time. I'm just getting back into YouTube. Keep with the good work. Stay on the grind. Thank you, Sayx. Nice thing to say. So he says, I watched Despicable Me and the Minions movies. I saw Despicable Me 1 and I think 2. I think I saw one of the Minions movies. Like most of those franchises, Despicable Me 1 was probably the best one. But I didn't see any of the newer ones, so. Do I think they should bother with Austin Powers 4? No. I think that Austin Powers, at the time it was made, in the 90s, was kind of filling a need in cinema that didn't exist. I feel like since then we've had many similar style parody movies and things like that, and I don't necessarily think that people would find it funny anymore. You know, it's weird. There's certain very talented people who I think they fit in a certain era. Mike Myers in the 90s with Wayne's World, with the Austin Powers movies, and even as Shrek, I think that he was a really great talent. Then he went on to try to make other movies like Love Guru and shit and failed miserably because I think his time was over. Same thing with Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler's a guy in the 90s and the first half of the 2000s makes hit after hit after hit movie. But the thing is, he overstays his welcome. His time is done, but he still wants to make the same kind of movie. It's just not popular anymore. So he keeps trying to do it, and it's not, you know what I mean? Like, Pixels. Oh. I don't follow sports, so no, of course, I'm not going to be a fan of Floyd Mayweather. AJ wants me to rate Heavy Rain, Until Dawn, Detroit Become Human. Like, in order of like, how much I liked them. I think I liked Heavy Rain the most. Probably Until Dawn, and then probably Detroit Become Human. The thing is, if you were to objectively rate them on quality, on replayability, you probably say Detroit Become Human's the highest because it has the most interesting plot. It has big plot changes depending on your choices. Characters can die really early. The thing is, Heavy Rain was the first game I ever played like that, right? It really was. It was the first game where it was like, wow, your choices really matter. You can have a character live or die. You have to try to do a suspenseful situation. And by the way, the plot of Heavy Rain being this murder mystery, you know, with a killer and suspense and all of that, really, it felt like a rated R movie that was interactive, and I really loved that. Now we've had that experience a lot, so it kind of doesn't have that initial impact like Heavy Rain did. So I think in my mind, like, for example, that first playthrough of Heavy Rain, oh my god. Then I've done more playthroughs since then, and they're not as good because you already know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, I still think of all the ones I've done, though, Heavy Rain. And then Until Dawn, because Until Dawn was really pure horror, while Heavy Rain was more, you know, suspense thriller with a human murderer. You know, Until Dawn has supernatural horror element to it, and I think that was the first good horror one. And again, when you go to horror games, like I look at all the games I played from Dark Pictures Anthology, and even, you know, the Quarry, I still think Until Dawn's better than all of them. You know what I mean? It really is the first and best one. How has Tom Cruise been so popular since the 80s? You know, I don't know. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I'm just saying, like, I don't think I would go out of my way to see a Tom Cruise movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's something on TV or whatever, or you got some time to kill, and you're looking at on-demand movies on your on-demand service. Oh, look, there's Mission Impossible movie. I guess I'll watch it. You know he's going to do a decent job acting. You know there's going to be some good quality production budget in any movie he's in. I don't think he's ever been in a movie where they skimmed and looked like shit. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I've never been, oh, I'm a giant fan of Tom Cruise, and I got to see all the Tom Cruise movies. You know what I mean? Like, some people were like, oh, my God, there's a new Top Gun. And I'll watch it when I have time, or if I just happen to stumble upon it, but I'm not dying to see a new Top Gun. After all this time, like, apparently people were, because it sold, you know, made tons of money, right? Have I experienced any health benefits since I started walking? Yes. I've lost some weight, for sure. I could tell concretely that I've lost weight, because there were some shirts that basically when I put them on, they didn't really fit that well, and now they fit fine. So I lost weight. Literally, that's a good judge of how you can tell that you've lost some chubbiness or excess fat, because things fit again, you know? My legs feel a lot more energetic. Like, they don't feel sore, and I can move around a lot easier now. I feel like I do have more energy. I don't feel... Let me put it this way. I definitely know that doing the walks have got my blood going, and I start, you know, I'm exercising again, I'm sweating again. I think it's helped my heart, and I think it's helped my blood flow, okay? Sadly, that's not all the issues that I have. As you guys know, I have respiratory issues with allergies, with post-nasal drip, so it's kind of like, I feel like here the heart and the blood flow and the legs is good. But now I almost feel like I need to work on upper body, and I need to do somehow something about my respiratory system, because I feel like there's issues there, and I don't know what I can really do to make that feel better, because I don't think physical exercise will help that. I'm not sure. But I definitely feel like there are benefits from me doing the walks, for sure. Yes. When was my last full-on gout attack? The last full-on gout attack I had, I told you guys about this a few months ago. I told you that at one point, I decided I wanted to see if the cherry juice that I had been drinking was actually doing anything, or if it was just bullshit. Because when you have a condition like gout, which is a imbalance in the acid levels in your blood, okay? You get tossed a whole bunch of shit. Or you could go to the doctor and you get medicine, but the doctor won't give you infinite medicine for it, right? So you have to find other things to try to adjust your lifestyle or whatever. And one day I cut out red meat a ton. I only barely ever eat red meat or shellfish in my diet anymore. I used to drink ridiculous amounts. I don't drink nearly as much anymore than I used to. And I now drink cherry juice. It's something that I started doing. As soon as I was diagnosed with gout, I started drinking cherry juice, because I read online if you drink tart cherry juice, not the sweet shit, but the pure 100% tart cherry juice, that it has natural properties to lower inflammation in the body and also to reduce your acid levels. So I started drinking the cherry juice, okay? And I basically never stopped. I just kept drinking it nonstop. Every day I have one big glass of cherry juice with dinner, with very little exceptions. Maybe on a day off, if I'm out, I won't drink it. For the most part, I drink it every day. And I've done this since, I was diagnosed with gout in 2015. So 7 years of my life, I've been drinking cherry juice every day, okay? The thing is, I never actually knew if it was doing anything for me. And cherry juice, pure cherry juice, not the watered down fake shit, pure 100% cherry juice is very expensive. One container that's 2 glasses can go for upwards of $8 to $9. Usually I try to get it on sale for between $3 and $4, but it could be very, very pricey, okay? So one week, I just, on a whim, I basically was like frustrated, because money-wise, things weren't going so good or whatever. And I said, all right, this week, I'm just not going to get the cherry juice, and I'm going to see what happens. So for a week, I didn't drink the cherry juice, and you want to know what happened? I got a horrible gout flare-up. It was fucking terrible. My foot swelled up again, just like originally had been happening in 2015. My foot swelled up like a balloon. I was limping all over the house. I was in excruciating pain. I was like, wow. Well, if anything, this just proved that cherry juice is what was actually negating this condition of mine. I got it. So it took about, no exaggeration, probably about a month to a month and a half of me drinking the cherry juice consistently again to get enough of it back into my bloodstream. And now I haven't had a gout outbreak since. So that was what? Shit. Maybe a couple years ago. I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. It was basically when prices started to raise because of COVID. And it was harder to get products and stuff. And I said I was going to, on a whim, try not to do it. And that's the last time I had one. But once again, since then, once I got back on the cherry juice regimen, I haven't had an outbreak since. So there you go. Slayer says, I think you have to increase cardio by running or aerobic exercise to increase lung capacity. Right now, with the amount that I'm doing this kind of power walking, that's as much as I can do. Because I can tell you, like I said, I walk. Today I couldn't because it was too hot. But usually I walk about a half an hour. And I try to go at least a mile and a half during that half an hour. And by the time I'm done with that, I am drenched in sweat. Like, I am head to toe dripping in sweat. So obviously that's what my body can do right now. Once I get to a point where that's not like that anymore, and maybe my body isn't drenched in sweat and it's got enough capacity, you know what I mean? Then I'll up it. I'll say, okay, let's go a little faster. Let's go a little further. But I don't want to, you know what I mean? I definitely don't want to push it. Oh, excuse me. Woo! I never ate Korean barbecue. Never had it. Alright, guys, last 1 or 2 questions and we'll call it a night. I just want to say thanks to everyone who chilled with me. A shame it was such a darn slow night for support. You know, Fable ended so early and really was a really deflating, shitty ending, just be honest. It is what it is. Hopefully we can get back on track tomorrow. There's no questions. There's no questions. Less statements, but no questions. What was the longest I ever had an arcade cabinet winning streak? Well, okay, there were 2 times distinctly that I remember that stand out in my mind. There was one time that I went to, I want to say it was definitely down south. I believe it was Georgia. I think I was in Georgia for final round. I think that was the name of the tournament. And I sat down at the Super Turbo cabinet that they had there for people to play at like 11 in the morning. And I started playing, and people just kept coming, playing me all day. I swear to God, I think I played till dinner. Like, I played from like 11. I ate breakfast in my hotel room. I went there and I started playing. It was a day when there was no tournaments I was in or anything. And I just started playing, and I never lost. I was playing with Fei Long, of all characters. And I just won with Fei Long all day long, nonstop, from like 11 till like maybe 5 p.m. And I turned to the guy and said, guys, I gotta go. I'm hungry. I gotta piss, you know? I gotta go. I can't keep playing. It was a crazy streak. And the other time I got a crazy streak, at the launch of Street Fighter 4, all right, there was an arcade in Rhode Island. This is the one I told you guys about before. Tokyo Game Action, TGA. And this is where they had a special launch event for Street Fighter 4. And the owner, Andy, ordered Japanese game cabinets, had them shipped from Japan to the US for us to play. So we were playing Street Fighter 4 before it was ever available in the United States. We went to this arcade and played it. And on launch day, I played it all day long. I maxed the win counter. I take it back. I think I had like 97 wins, I think, with E Honda. And then finally I was defeated by my friend Koru Chado. You guys remember him from streams? He used to team up with me in Call of Duty. He's a really good Street Fighter player as well. He actually used to be very good at games like Capcom vs. SNK 2, while I was better at more traditional games like Super Turbo. We also both played games like Marvel vs. Capcom series. And he beat me. He was the one who took me off the cabinet at like 90-something wins after racking up that crazy win streak, however many hours that was. So, those are definitely my 2 best runs ever that I can remember. Okay. Would I consider playing Persona 5 Royale? You know, I'd like to. And at this point, I think if I wanted to play it, I'd be safe. Because the game's been out for so many years, I don't think I'd have any risk of getting copyright strikes. I'm more concerned of playing a new Atlas game when it's brand new. I'm afraid that they're going to give me more false copyright strikes like they did when Persona 5 was new. And I followed all their guidelines to stream and record, and they still hit me with bullshit copyright strikes. So, moving forward, like Persona 6, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do about it. I might skip it for 6 months and play it late to make sure that I don't get copyright strikes. But Persona 5 Royale, I think I would be able to play. Am I interested in playing it anytime soon? No. All right, guys, I think we're going to call it quits tonight. Thank you for a fun 30-minute Q&A. I hope you had a good time. And remember to vote, although now the vote, kind of a monkey wrench is thrown into the vote because Fable is not in the running to be played tomorrow night. I beat it tonight. So it basically, the voting right now is either between Final Fantasy VII or Batman Arkham Asylum in the morning. The night stream is going to be Multiverses no matter what. Okay, guys? All right. Thank you for chilling.